Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys. My name is Joseph. Now, I've been promising on this channel that I was going to review some Wolfheart albums. I wasn't able to do a full reaction to it because I ended up listening to this album on the long run that I was doing, but I've been meaning to sit down and actually start listening to their discography, and I started with their 2013 Winterbourne debut album, as the song that resonated with me the most was The Hunt. So I started with that album first, and I've listened now to the album over 4 times, and I gotta say, each time it got better for me. It wasn't immediately catchy or captivating for me personally, if I'm honest, but with each listen I would see how all the elements came together in the album, and that I think conceptually it's actually a pretty strong and consistent album, which I really enjoyed. I really like how Tomas balances the melodic riffs with a melancholic atmosphere, along with the borderline black metal moments this album had. And the album has heart and passion, and is heard in each song, and tracks like Rauta Part 2 or Ghosts of Karelia and The Hunt really hit the nail on the head for me. Something to take a note of, I did listen to the remastered version of this album with 2 extra songs, Isolation and Into the Wilds. And a lot of melodic death metal bands, in my opinion, focus on this kind of melancholic atmospheric sound, tend to have very similar sounding songs on their albums, which makes the album blend into kind of a one song, which I think was the case with the Winterbourne. And it doesn't automatically make it a bad thing, but it does mean that some of the songs stand out less from the cut and kind of blend in. And honestly, that would be my actually biggest criticism of this particular album, and that's that some songs just kind of blend together. I wish there were more changes and changes in riffs and melodies, like the ones that we hear on at the end of the Ghosts of Karelia, which I honestly gave me literally goosebumps at the end when I was listening to it. I must have rewinded it a couple times when I was listening to it. I also can't say I particularly like the 2 bonus songs, which one was an instrumental and the other one was kind of okay. You know, I was indifferent to it, let's put it that way. I think the album just overstays its welcome just a little bit, in my opinion, with the 11 songs that it has, with the just over 47-minute runtime on this particular album. But don't get me wrong, with all the criticism I might have said and all that aside, I really enjoyed this album. I thought it was great, and I wish I liked every song as much as I did The Hunt and the others that I've mentioned, but I didn't. There were some songs I was a little bit more indifferent about. They kind of blended it a little bit to me and kind of sounded the same, if I'm honest. But the ones I did like, I really liked. That was the kind of the juxtaposition and differences that I've heard kind of had when listening to this album. I also understand it's their first album. Wolfheart, it's the first album they produced, but I also know it's not the first project from Tomas. And he has bands, you know, like Before the Dawn, which is something you guys recommended I do a reaction to, which I actually recorded a reaction for one of the songs that's going to be coming out next week. Overall, I thought Winterbourne is a solid piece of work, but I have a feeling it's not the best Wolfheart has to offer, which is great because I have 4 more albums to check out and listen and kind of go through. And I think the most important thing that this band does have, and that Tomas possesses as a musician who writes his music, is you can hear Tomas's passion for music. And I think it trumps everything else for me personally that I might have an issue with, because I'm excited to discover what this band is about and all its future albums and everything it has to offer. And any criticism, you know, I've mentioned on this channel a lot, I am quite critical of music. Most bands I put on my top 10 list, I have some criticisms about. Just take that into account when I say that. It's just me trying to balance and be fair when I'm doing a review and not just praise something non-stop, which does happen. It actually happened with Bellacore when I've reacted to one of their albums. It's just that kind of reaction I had to it. It happens rarely to me, to be honest. I'm gonna be excited to check out more from Wolfheart and see what they offer and what they bring to the table with their following albums, and the band that I want to follow now. And I'm excited to download Before the Dawn as well, because surprise surprise, I like that song as well. Sorry if I ruined it for you. Hopefully you still tune in for the reaction. Anywho, guys, that's my review of the album. I'm not gonna give it a rating. I realize giving a rating to an album is kind of pointless, because we all interpret music so differently, and even movies and video games. I'll just say this like that: if you've never listened to Wolfheart, yes, check them out. Highly recommend it. Is it the peak of melodic death metal? I don't think so. But at the same time, I just have this, I can't explain it. I have this inner feeling that I know that there's so much more that I will hear in the next albums. And it's also the passion, the feelings, the emotions it gets from this album. I think it puts it above like the band that's right there in the middle. I think they're driving to the top, so to say. And I have a feeling with the next albums, it's just gonna hit that top for me. It's just this particular album. The first album wasn't particularly it. I thought it was just a solid, good album I enjoyed listening to, and an album that I'll be listening to over and over again, actually. It's just, you know, you have different kinds of levels for different bands and different albums and bands that you listen to. For example, Iron Maiden, I really don't listen to many of the new albums. I don't find them to be as interesting unless it's Brave New World, it is Book of Souls, and now Senjutsu. I actually don't like Dance of Death very much. I don't like any of the Blaze Bailey albums, you know. And it happens with most bands that we've listened to. I think it's rare that we like everything a band produces, especially when they have had a really long run over the course of their career. But there you go, guys. That's my review. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know down below what you thought of it. What kind of feelings did you get? It's also a different feeling when you start with a band and you just follow every album as they come out, whether it's like me just jumping into a band based on the reaction. And guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it metal. Have a good one.